my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
They're here.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
It's showtime.
Right, welcome everybody to another episode of the VHS Strikes Back. I am one of your hosts, Chris, and my co-host and very good friend is Dave.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to the VHS Strikes Back, the show where we dust off the old video player and go on a nostalgic journey to look at the good and the bad movies of yesteryear. Now, Chris, what we're going to review this week?
Well, Dave, we are going back to 1983. This is a Patreon pick. Our good friend and one of the OG supporters of the podcast, Mr. Kent Gustafson. So great to have Kent still supporting us, such a good guy. But he's picked a movie, Dave, a comedy. And this comedy stars Beverly D'Angelo, Dave. The lovely Beverly D'Angelo. We'll get into that. Randy Quaid, John Candy.
Interesting the way you coupled up the actors there.
Yeah. Christy Brinkley. But more importantly, the main star of the movie, Day is Mr. Chevy Chase. So we are going to be covering the original National Lampoon's Vacation. So we have done the Christmas one, but this is the OG for me. So, Dave, do you remember seeing this for the first time, or what stories have you got about this one?
So I don't remember seeing it for the first time. It's one of those videos that we just had. My dad had obviously copied it from somewhere. And we just had it on one of the blank videos. And I just love this one. I love the European Vacation. I know that gets slated a little bit as not as good as this one. Obviously, a little bit later, I do remember the Christmas Vacation, which we covered a couple of years ago. But this one was the OG for me, and I just absolutely loved it. And I don't know why I was allowed to watch it. This was an R-rated movie. In my head, it is a PG. It's a good family fun movie. And watching it as an adult, I mean, I haven't watched this for years, Chris. I can't. I sort of remember it because of that repetitive watching when I was younger, but I'd not watched this for years, and it was. I knew it was going to be interesting to go back and watch it with kind of 2025 now, Chris, lenses on. But I just wasn't sure what I'd make of it. But yeah, so much love for this movie from being a kid. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't recall how I first watched it. I don't know whether we rented it or it was just on like UK TV. It was very much. I love these movies. I loved all of them, like the European one. This one, especially, Dave, there's quite a few little points that definitely got good old Chris's fucking shoulder playing. And I had a bit of an infatuation with Beverly D'Angelo, Dave, for obvious reasons. You know, there was the Goldie Hawn, Kathleen Turners at this time. There was definitely these older women that really, stood out, shall we say. Christy Brinkley, obviously stunning, Billy Joel's ex-wife. Yeah. But I just remember enjoying them. The European one as well was very rarely on UK TV when we were younger, but when it was on, I would always make a point of watching it. There was a bit with Rusty in the second one, Dave, with the Lederhosen and that reminded me of some of the movies I may have come across on RTL around this time as well. So, yes, and
Also
definitely.
Beverly and with a little video, the little home video.
Yeah, the video, the videos on the second one, yeah. So honestly, I loved him. John Candy being in this and that. I've seen this one loads of times, and I would probably say I've not watched it for maybe 10 to 15 years, but certainly as a kid, we had it recorded off ITV or BBC, and it was always on a rotation. It was always like a family movie that we'd all sort of at different points watch and enjoy. So yeah, I didn't know how we were going to go with this. We did the Christmas Vacation, which I wasn't 100% down on at all. I just didn't enjoy it as I should, and I even watched it again a few weeks ago, but maybe the second half of it, and it's still, I don't know why. I think it's because Chevy Chase is just a massive bellend, Dave, in real life. I think because he's got that James Corden about him where he's playing this character, but in real life, he's an absolute knobhead. So it's like, yeah. I think that's what it is. I think like the more I watch these movies, and I don't want to reveal my hand, but I think there's a lot of it plays into the fact that I think Chevy Chase is just basically Clark Griswold in every facet of his real life, Dave. So this is going to be an interesting one, this, because obviously 1983, it's, 41 years old, and it's like
We're in
interesting.
2025 now, so
42 then. 42,
yeah.
Dave, you're right. I apologise. But yes, 42. So it is going to be interesting with this. But again, what a great pick by Ken. It's an absolute classic. Clark Griswold, the Griswold family, the whole world they built was set on this. I know this wasn't the first National Lampoon movie, but for me, this was, like you said, the OG. This was what got me into the franchise. And we were talking off podcast as well, the Vegas Vacation one. I've seen, but I can't recall a lot of it. So I don't know whether we'll ever revisit that at some point, but it'd be an interesting one to go with, because the stick of Clark Griswold is legendary, and he's like this absolute legendary character. But I'll be interested when we get past the trailer what we say, Dave. Well, there you go.
Well, so I ended up watching the Vegas one, and I don't think I'd seen this before, which is weird. It came out in 97. I don't know why. I'd have lapped that up, I'd have thought, because I love the others so much. But yeah, it's not great, Chris. It's not great. So I'm sure we'll cover it at some point, because it's very much in our sort of time period there. But yeah, it's not great. But it's funny you say about the National Lampoons, because I think if you say National Lampoon's Vacation, a lot of people are going to default to the Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
But they'd had something like 3 movies. Now, Animal House was a hit, but then they had a couple of flops as well. So when this came out, there was quite a lot of pressure for it to be successful. But I honestly think that this created the template for the road trip movie. I just can't think of any other thing that came before which had that kind of slapstick, madcap comedy, all these things that are going wrong on the road trip. I mean, is the movie literally called Road Trip, isn't it? But, there's others which you see, not homages to, but have definitely been influenced by this. And I hadn't realised until we came up to reviewing this that it was all based on a short story by John Hughes that appeared in the magazine. And where I was going with that, I think if you say National Lampoon, people think Chevy Chase. But, it was all based on this magazine, and, there were all these other different movies as well. But it says something where these particular National Lampoon's Vacation movies were so successful that everyone just sort of mentally goes there, as opposed to, say, Animal House.
Yeah, definitely. I was talking actually to friends last night about that, and one of Sam's friends actually said, like, Animal House, I love that movie. I've never seen it. I know it's John Belushi and everything, but I associate this as the start of the franchise, which obviously it isn't. But
yeah,
no, it's going to be good. It's going to be a good one, I think, Dave. That's all I'm going to say, my friend.
Well, on that ominous note, should we get into our trailer?
Let's go.
This summer, when you think vacation, think National Lampoon's Vacation. See the real America.
Hey, underpants. Hey, yellow.
It's friendly.
Okay, I'm okay.
Don't you want to look at the Grand Canyon?
It's educational.
Great.
And most of all, it's fun.
The dog went on the picnic basket.
Let Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo,
Clark.
Imogene Coca, Randy Quaid, John Candy, and Christy Brinkley.
Well, are you gonna go for it?
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Take you for a ride. This summer, when you think vacation, think National Lampoon's Vacation.
Better check under the hood.
Clark Griswold, wanting to spend more time with his wife Ellen, don't blame me, Clark, his children Rusty and Audrey decide to lead the family on a cross-country expedition from the Chicago suburbs to the Southern California amusement park, Wally World. This is billed as America's favorite family fun park. Ellen wants to fly, but Clark insists on driving so he can bond with his family. He has ordered a new car in preparation for the trip, but the dealer claims that this will not be ready for 6 weeks. Clark is forced to buy the Wagon Queen family truckster, an ugly, oversized station wagon, after the car he traded has been crushed. Now, Chris, what do you reckon to the opening of this movie?
Well, I've got to say, Dave, I love the music. The fucking Holiday
so
Roll.
good.
It's brilliant. It's so iconic. It kicks in dead slow, and then all of a sudden that music comes on, and that's it. And then Sam had told Sam I was watching it, and then she shouted down, going, "Why didn't you wait?" But I was like, we were going out. I was like, I've got to get this watched for the podcast. And the music, and she said that. She went, "Oh, you always know it's National Lampoons," but
So good.
it is so good. So I'll give it that straight away.
Lindsay Buckingham, by the way, so Fleetwood Mac fame.
Ah, right. Okay, Dave. Well, I didn't know that. But yeah, definitely iconic. Great voice, great proper hook as well in it for like the National Lampoons. It just, as soon as it comes on, you've brilliant Holiday Road. You can't help but sing it. Excellent. It comes on him because it's 83. Clark does appear with Rusty. He looks like something out of the 70s, really. It feels like it's a late 70s movie. He's got the flares on Annie, you know, I've got to give Chevy Chase credit, Dave. How he's kept that fucking sweep over going for all them years. I do not know. I'd never really noticed.
Dear life, that is clinging on.
That is a fucking Bobby Charlton, isn't it? Like he has kept that going. I think he's pretty much gone now, but as he's older. But in this, I've never noticed it so much, the proper sweep over. But I think it's with Eugene Levy at the start when he just starts fucking around about the car. And I'm like, I've ordered the blue sports then. This big... And there's two of them, isn't there? These two cars together, I presume, obviously, in the movie. One was used for stunts and one wasn't. But there's two of them, and Rusty's there, and usually he's like giving him the whole spiel, and that guy's in. He's like, "Hey, where's his car?" and all this. And at first I'm thinking, right, it's dead familiar. We're in. But I've got to say, Dave, we need to talk, because I think Clark Griswold is one of the ultimate bad guys in any of the movies we've done. I think he's a narcissistical wanker, and he's like, everyone goes, "Oh, he's the American dad." No, he's not. Yeah. He's a fucking psychopath, narcissist, isn't he? He's an absolute sociopath as well. He's a lunatic in this. The more I watched this one, I was like, holy fuck, this guy is not nice. And the kids are not nice. The only person who is Beverly D'Angelo, the mother. She's the only one who's actually got a conscience and is a nice person. The rest of the cast are just horrible, aren't they? Like, there's some stuff later on I want to talk about. But yeah, I think Ellen Griswold is the hero that we need in this movie, Dave. Not just because of the breasticles that come out later on, which I do remember very well. But good old Sparky here is an absolute cock. Chevy Chase, like his character is awful in this movie. I think Dave really stands out. I don't think this movie holds up at all. This is not the road trip, the all-American road trip, a bit of a comedy. It's quite a dark movie when you watch it, I think.
I think you definitely watch it differently now. What I would say is, I don't know if I can be 100% objective about this, because I think there's lots of things that we'll get into later which don't stand up well. But I still think it's funny. I still think it's there's something cozy about it. You know, it does stand up in certain ways. It's very dated in other ways as well. But one of those ways that I don't think it holds up is that idea of like America's dad. You know, I mean, my dad, I'm pretty sure he aspired to be Clark Griswold. You know, we've all got this false memory that he's this great guy who's just, he's trying his best, but he's a bit of a buffoon. He fumbles things, he gets things wrong. Whereas actually, he's a bit of a selfish prick. Some of the dialogue that I wouldn't have picked up on, even if I'd watched it 1,000 more times when I was a kid, but different things resonate with you now. And one of the reasons that he wants to go on this road trip is obviously so we can have a movie and we can have these madcap slapstick adventures. But he says, you get to spend a lot more time with the kids. So you're understanding, okay, so Ellen is a stay-at-home mum. And he says, well, I get to spend 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes in the evening, and maybe 3 hours at the weekend. So he's working, really hard, not really seeing his kids as they grow up. So I kind of, and being a parent now, that resonates as well with me. You sort of think, all right, I can empathize with that. But then you're very early on, you're seeing that, well, Beverly D'Angelo's saying, we should fly. And he's like, no, it's so we can spend more time with the kids. But there isn't a kind of a well thought out discussion. This is basically just what Clark wants. And so all of his actions throughout the movie are all just through Clark being quite selfish. And there's multiple times through the movie where Ellen says, oh, let's just fly. It's all going wrong. Let's just take a flight and we'll get there in no time. No. And it's just him all the time. And then we get into the selfishness, but the cheating. It's almost like Clark's saddled with this family. And he's kind of got this idea of himself that he's still this player in his 20s or something, and he's trying to do his best to play up to being the dad, but actually he's feeling more weighed down and saddled with them.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. You think with the trip, it's 2,400 miles. The one thing I did like though was at the start is when they're doing the whole Pac-Man thing. So he gets the computer hooked up to the telly ahead of his time.
Atari, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then Russ is there doing the old Pac-Man. He's coming behind him, chomping, and then Audrey's there, fucking shooting him and stuff. And he goes, "Thanks, Audrey," and he keeps saying that. So I was laughing at that. There was bits there, and there is funny bits. Honestly, there is. I'm not just coming in and shitting on it. It's still a movie I can watch again, but he's an absolute psychopath. It's like 1 minute he's all for the family. Let's go on the road trip. And it literally, through the whole movie, he wants to cheat on Ellen, doesn't he? He's fucking, the bit when they're in the car, and he's there, and he's going, do you remember when we came back from that thing? Basically implying that she'd give him a blowjob. And then she's going, no, the kids are asleep. And he's going, no, we'll be fine. I'm thinking, this is fucking weird. You've been doing that with your kids in the back. And then they gets their head stuck. She went, stop it. But her dialogue to him is really
trying to
bad.
force her though, isn't he? He's got him intentionally trapped down there. It's like, oh, well, why are you down there? She's like, I know what you're doing.
I know, just put your head in my lap. We'll just see what comes up. That sort of trick, Dave. It's but it's then through the movie, and her dialogue was interesting because she really calls him out. I know what you're doing. It's disgusting and all this. And the kids are there just what the fuck's going on here? But the kids are not likable. Rusty and Audrey are not likable at all. They are a right pair of bellends, the kids. As it went on.
I thought they were okay.
No, as it goes, sorry, so I'm talking about the bit with the auntie and everything. That is just fucking horrendous. But at this point, and obviously, Chrissy Brinkley's character goes past the Ferrari, and he's there getting a fucking lob on, in here. They're all asleep, and he's driving erratically, in here, and everything, and she's there. It's so unbelievable because apparently that part was supposed to be Rusty's girlfriend, and he's supposed to meet some young girl, but fucking Chevy Chase stepped in and went, I think it worked better for Clark. But this paints Clark as he's not this family guy. Exactly what you've said. He's saddled with this family where, given half a chance, he would cheat on Ellen because that's quite obvious. He thinks he's the fucking Don, doesn't he? And I kept thinking, is this a Chevy Chase ego thing? Is he just completely railroaded the whole, fucking derailed the whole production, so he makes him look like this bit of I know he's poking fun at himself at the same time as well, so it's a character he's playing. But every time I've watched it, I've never picked up on this. But what's this? I'm like, he's a fucking psycho. He's like a baddie. He is a nutter. He's an absolute nutter in this. You could say when I was younger, I used to think his intentions were good. It's just this fucking dad who's sick to death of his whiny family, his whiny wife, everything. But watching it now as a 46-year-old, I'm like, no, Ellen's the only one who's fucking normal. Everyone else around him, how she's with Clark, who basically spends the whole movie just trying to get his end away, and every time he's going to try and have a bit, and she's like, oh, sparking, and the bit when she gets her boobicles out, Dave, I remember it well. Many a times I've paused that moment. I've definitely thrown my shoulder out to this movie, but I think there is some good comedy in it. There definitely is, and these bits that I was laughing at, and it was familiar, but I couldn't get past Clark as a character. I was like, it felt like the Kaiser Soze movie. I'm like, holy shit, he's an absolute lunatic. And I was dying to speak to you about it. And like you said, you can't be subjective. You can't be objective on it and go, no, because it is still a good movie, but he is a raging fucking lunatic. And I think I've got to watch the others now. I'm going to have to watch the European one to go through it again and go, actually, what the fuck is going on? Because I don't think he's a nice character, Clark Griswold, at all, Dave. I really don't. I think it works for the movie, but I just think he gets away with so much stuff in this movie that he'd be going down for about 100 years in the fucking jail system if this was real. Just a very bizarre movie. Bizarre for me, this.
Yeah, and I think it's just that undertone of him being a frustrated, trapped dad, feeling like he's going out, he's earning the money and whatever, doing his job. But like I say, the Christine Brinkley thing is just ridiculous. I mean, the idea, not only is she a gorgeous fucking supermodel, and you've got this guy with the sweep over, but when she's driving past, he's brushing it forward. The idea. So she's in a fucking Ferrari. But, she's going to pull up to this station wagon where you've got this fucking middle-aged bloke with this sweep over. Oh, yeah. You want some fun? Whatever. It's so ridiculous. But, I just didn't really pick up. And I think I'm less surprised by it now. But when we went back and properly watched The Christmas Vacation, there were still those traits there. Only, there wasn't a real life kind of cheating situation or opportunity. It was more just him having that Fast Times at Ridgemont High moment when he was looking out and dreaming about the pool and whatever. There was those bits, but nothing like here. But I think even picking up on those, I'm left wondering, well, how much is Clark and how much is Chevy Chase? I'm not sure. I think they're interchangeable as characters. But yeah, I mean, it's not as if it's not by accident, is it? It's definitely written that way, that, he is a bit of a sleazebag as well. And I don't know if it's just, have we moved on? Was this just okay? Or is that part of his buffoon character that actually he's trying, he's playing up to being this perfect dad, but he's a very, very flawed character, and just watching it as kids, and again having this false memory about how great he is. I don't know, but it's a surprise to come back and watch it now and just see how. I don't know if he'd do time necessarily. I mean, I think. I think, he basically robbed a hotel. He dumped a body. He slaughtered a dog. There are some things that
he might get community service. Yeah, he might.
But I think there's really subtle things that I don't remember picking up on before. That even when at the start that he's talking to Ellen. And she's just clearing the plates, and he's drying them as if they've been washed and putting them in the cupboard. So again, I think a little subtle thing like that, and you say, okay, so he's not actually used to being at home, because we're watching the movie, and we're kind of, we're just propelled into this world. So we might think that this is normal for him to be at home and help out with the dishes. But the fact that he's just taking the dirty dishes and just giving them a wipe and putting them in the cupboard tells you, this is not normal. He's not, he's not normally at home, so to help out with the chores and whatever. So I thought that was clever. But I tell you what, I didn't pick up on as well, obviously years ago, but obviously Dumb and Dumber, they do the whole scene in the car for their road trip, another kind of road trip movie. where they do the Mockingbird. And it was from this movie. I'd never spotted that before.
No, I'd never. Now you've said it, it all makes sense because he does say there's a bit as a wrestling fan as well, Dave, that I've picked up on, and you will probably never even pick up on this. But there's a scene years later where The Rock, Hulk Hogan, and Kane are talking, and Kane actually calls, like, you know, you got the Hulkamaniacs for like Hogan's fans, and then the Rock goes the Rock fans. And he usually say the millions in the crowd. He's going, the millions of Rock fans. Well, Kane comes in doing this like shtick, and he does an impression of Hogan, and he's got the mask up, but he says the Canaanites, and fucking Clark Griswold says the Canaanites, and I'm thinking,
Right.
whoever the guy who plays Kane, fucking, he told Glenn Jacobs, whether that was a reference or just because he's called Kane, it's the Canaanites, like the Hulkamaniac. I don't know, but Clark does say it in this. But you're right. I think that watching like Clark unravel and the way like the trip goes, like they go into these. I mean, they end up in fucking Chicago, don't they? In like the New York, like the Bronx, don't they? And they're there trying to give him directions, and they're playing up to all the stereotypes, aren't they? You know,
I think that's in St. Louis. That is
St. Louis. Sorry, St. Louis.
Yeah.
You're right. And all the thing, and then Clark's trying to speak like with the guys in here, like he's trying to relate to them. And then she's like, "Look, can we just go? Can we just go? This is not where we should be." And he's driving, and he sits at the freeway. I know I did like the guy's line. He's like, $5. He gives him 10, and then he's like, "Yeah, go down there. No, that one there, yeah, go speak to him because I'm not from round here." But they've just took all the hubcaps, so they're all nicking him, and they haven't got a clue what's going on. That was quite funny. But I think it's when he goes to see what really stuck out for me. When he goes
just before we move on from that scene, so Harold Ramis, you know, Egon Spengler from Ghostbusters, obviously directed this one. He hated that scene after it was released. He said if he could go back, he would change that because it was pretty fucking racist at the end of the day, wasn't it? Just the way it was all played. And I'm not really sure, but I mean, were hubcaps ever that valuable? Where, you know,
especially on that shithouse cat. I mean, fucking hell,
they're not
holding it together.
Oh, by the way, apparently the station wagon really took a hit after this movie, you know, and it was custom made to look as bad as it did with all the wood paneling and everything. But it's just an iconic, you know, that fucking Griswold truckster. It's just an iconic look. But yeah, car sales for station wagons plummeted after this, and it's kind of attributed to this movie. But yeah, Harold Ramis just really didn't like that scene. He said it was daft. It was just a thing that he wouldn't do if he had his chance to make the movie again.
No, I think I'm with you. I don't think it sits very well watching it. I think at any point, even years ago, you'd be like, no, that doesn't really go with the movie. And I think after this, they end up at that where they fall asleep, don't they? He falls asleep and he goes on this like thing, like planes, trains, and automobiles job. But he's driving like, it's almost like, I suppose it would be like Naked Gun. He's going through people's drives, he's fast asleep. And the next minute they end up at the hotel. And this is where you get the bed. The fucking vibrating bed, don't you? And like he's trying to have another
after the shower scene, Chris.
Thing, Dave. You know what I mean? He's like, "Can I rub your back? No. Can I rub your front? No." I mean, to be fair, I've probably used them lines on Sam and got that same response, Dave. So you know what I mean? But I think we probably all have. But it's one of them where they're there, aren't they? And she's under the fucking blanket. They go, "Where's Mum?" And it's like, "I'm under here. Yeah, she's fine." The thing that gets me though, Clark's talking to him. They're two teenage kids, aren't they? But he's talking to him like they're not understanding what's going on here. And he's like talking to him as if they're about 3 or 4 years old. And they've come in and go, "Where's Mum?" "Oh, I'm just helping her with a back. She's got a bad back." Or, you know, one of them, like, as a young kid.
The bed's too soft.
The bed's not working sort of thing. So you've got all that. But I think it's when he goes to see Cousin Eddie, and there's a fucking line in it. I don't know if you picked up on it with the girl when she's talking to Audrey about, "I do French kissing." And she's like, "Oh, is that it?" And she goes, yeah, my dad says I'm the best. Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Your Cousin Eddie's fucking Randy Quaid, right? Fucking deadbeat. And he's robbing the aunt anyway, getting the Social Security money and all that and everything. But when she said that, I was like, oh, that's definitely not aged fucking very well, that line at all.
I think it's definitely put in there for comedy, though, isn't it? The implied incest.
Yeah, the implied incest, but it's that look of us, just like, oh, we need to get out of here. But yeah, I know, I'm not being a fucking they're trying to be like a dead thingy about moral conscience. I just think it's one of them lines. I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, that was in here, wasn't it? I completely forgot. But I think it's when they get the gran at the ante, and the fucking dog bit is funny with the copper. I must admit, when the cop grabs him, and Clark doesn't give a shit about the dog. He just wants to get to Wally World, and he don't like the dog anyway. He's been biting everyone. And apparently, Chevy Chase adopted that dog after this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called Dinky, wasn't it, in this? But he adopted it. It became his dog. But yeah, that bit's quite funny. The cop comes, starts giving him shit, and you're like, why is he having a go at him? And then he pulls the fucking lead up, and he's like, and Clark's trying to like be upset and cry, and he's like, right, let's go.
And apparently, they were genuinely struggling to not burst out laughing. I mean, you can imagine just trying to film that scene because the cop is, being all heartfelt and stuff about the dog and how tragic it is. And like you say, Clark just doesn't give a shit. He hated that fucking dog. So I think it's so well set up, and I'd forgotten about it, to be honest. So I did end up watching this a second time, and it's obviously set up, because he's packing the suitcases away, and you see him put the dog on the back. So it was in plain sight, but I just didn't see it in real time, and it's only when the cop picks up the lead, and you're like, oh shit. So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny, to be fair.
Yeah, and when they go to the hotel though, and they go with him there like the Grand Canyon, and he's arguing with that guy because obviously he lost his credit cards, they've lost everything, haven't they? They've got no money. And then, so I'm jumping too far there. So fucking, obviously, Edna is fucking, she's gone, she's dead. So Edna is dead, and it's the way that's so bad when they go to the cousins to just drop her off.
Yeah,
and Clark's and everyone's like, that is bad, and the kids are moaning at him as well. The fucking poor woman's died, and they're like, and Ellen's going, "This is wrong, Clark. And he's like, "Nah, we'll just leave out. She £100. Yeah, it'll be fine. Put her on the roof." And they have her on the roof, and I know it's comedy, but the fact, since he says it, Ellen, she goes, "You've just left his dead mum sat on the fucking thingy, whatever," and drove off. He's not there for 3 days or whatever. It's really, I know it's comedy, but Clark Griswold is an absolute maniac at this point, isn't he? He's a fucking lunatic. Oh, fucking head case.
Again, I don't think you'd have that same thing now. You just wouldn't go there. But I mean, I like it because it is intentionally really dark, and it's showing just how single-minded and myopically focused he is on getting to Wally World now. And as he says in the car when everyone's just had enough and just wants to go home, he's like, this is a quest, and he will stop at nothing. But when you stand back far enough from it, can you imagine being that bloke and just coming back to your fucking dead mum on the porch? You'd be like, fuck, what the fuck? Has she been murdered? What's going on? And if someone said to you bring that into real life, and someone said to you, well, we're trying to get to Disneyland, you'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? So yeah, just absolutely ridiculous. And there's certain bits in this film which you can see are really just Chevy Chase ad-libbing. And when he's saying the words and whatever, that's clearly a scene where he's just making up any old shit because he doesn't give a fuck about her, and he just again wants to get back on the road and get going. So again, I know the kind of real life person is reportedly a bit of a knob, but I know in this movie I'm picking up on, this narcissism that I didn't realize was there, this utter selfishness, but I find it funny. I can't help it.
Oh, Dave, we need to have a serious chat. I'm sorry, but no, I think after this, though, when they go to that fucking thing as well, he's got no money. They're trying to get in, aren't they? And he's like, I'll cash $1,000. You keep 700, and the guy was often leaves the cash, and then he robs the fucking cash register, and that's never mentioned again. Like he's just basically done a robbery and done a runner, and he took all the money, and he's like, right, she goes, we're at the Grand Canyon, and he's like, yep, great, let's go, see ya. Monument Valleys. I mean, that is funny. That is funny because that's just stupid. But then I'm like, surely where the fuck are the police? Have they just let this guy rob the fucking
Yeah.
the till and do a
Well,
runner? But
he's got his. I mean, if he'd have just done a runner, but he puts the check back into the safe. Or back into the till, rather. So
with his
they've
name.
got his details and everything. So it's just, I mean, it's the worst of both worlds, isn't it? Because it is theft, but he's left all his details there as well. Whereas chances of them finding him, if he'd just done a runner, were pretty slim back in '83, I'd have thought. But I love the bit where they've got the Grand Canyon there, and it's the way he sort of. Because he's obviously doing a runner because he just fucking robbed the place. And he sort of puts his arm around Ellen, and then it's the way he sort of bobs his head a couple of times as if to like take it all in, and then he's like, "Right, come on, let's go."
Let's go. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna get arrested. Ellen's fucking completely oblivious, isn't she, to what's going on? I'm with you. But this scene, or the next bit, is the bit that gets me. So he has a full-on, when Clark always in these movies has a full-on meltdown, doesn't he? He's having a go at everyone for being ungrateful. Whereas normally I'm all for the Clark Griswold fucking blow-up. But having watched this again now, I'm like, no, actually, you're an absolute psychopath. You've ditched a dead body. You've robbed the fucking till. You've put your family in fucking danger. But then it's when Chrissy Brinkley, Dave, the fucking whole thing comes to a head from nowhere. He has an argument with Ellen, doesn't he? He goes downstairs. He's got the white fucking shoes that Eddie had given him, these fucking slip-ons, 70s porn shoes, like fucking John Travolta shoes. And she just appears from no. Well, yeah, well, Dave, pulling shoes. Yeah. Did the pavement light up fucking when you were walking? No, they'll beat it, job. He ties it on with a few women, doesn't he? He goes in the bar and he's like, yeah, I've had a night with Missy, so naturally I'm just going to go and cheat on her now. And he gets fucked off, and then she just comes, doesn't she, all over and sits with him, and she's absolutely stunning. She's beautiful looking when she starts speaking, and that's it. Let's go skinny dipping. And it's like, right, well, as a young, virile Chris Phelps, I'm not going to argue with this scene, Dave, but it all is just ridiculous because he starts screaming, doesn't he? Like, there's no way if you were going to get up to someone like that, you'd be screaming, no matter how cold the fucking pool is. You might blame the coldness on the pool for maybe certain things not, growing in the right direction at this point, but you certainly won't be screaming. So you get the comedy bit. But Ellen just literally forgives him, doesn't she? She's like, well, it's not all your fault, Sparky. Yeah. He's in the fucking pool with an absolute stunning fucking woman, and your family's there, everyone's watching. Fucking hell, Dave, I tell you what, Sam would have cut my fucking bits off straight away. With John Wayne Bobbitt in it, 100%. Actually, I'd have a fucking knife at me knackers straight away. I'd be gone, you know what I mean? So and then Ellen's like, come on then, let's go in. And we do see more of the boobicles of Beverly D'Angelo, Dave, very briefly. But all is forgiven at this point. I mean, what a fucking guy Clark is. He can convince his missus that, even the fact he's about to cheat on her is not a problem. Hats off, Dave. Hats off as a character, because he's got away with one there, 100%.
I just feel like you wouldn't see that today. You wouldn't see things written in the same way. And I guess it's just... It doesn't ring true, really, does it? That she'd just be, this submissive kind of housewife. She seems so sensible. And actually, I feel like things like this have definitely influenced things like The Office. Because Ricky Gervais always used to say about The Office, the men are the children and the women are the adults. And that's kind of what you've got here, where Ellen is the adult. And, but Clark is a child, basically. But for me, it's even before the pool. Like you say, he goes on and he's trying it with a whole bunch of women. Not very successfully, but that shows the intention of him, what he's trying to do. And I think that's, again, it's another distasteful bit about the character, which just, it brought off that shine of, what my false memory was about Clark being this great guy and, just this slightly, Homer Simpson-like buffoon. But yeah, I think, and even the writers know it as well. Talking about it, writers, like, as if it's not the fucking legendary John Hughes, but because he has a chat with Rusty, doesn't he? Yeah. This is where I think, Anthony Michael Hall, I think you can sort of see his star quality as well, because he's there acting against Chevy Chase a couple of times, and I think he absolutely holds his own. But he's having that chat where you see Clark is trying to have this man-to-man chat, father to son, but actually Rusty seems to be the one who's got more sense, because Clark's trying to tell him, oh yeah, it was like a pool waitress. He's like, oh right, yeah, I understand. Do you think Mom will buy it? He's like, good chat, Rusty.
Yeah,
like,
great.
Fuck off, lad. And we all know what's really going on there. But yeah, Ellen just kind of brushes on past it. So I do think that would be written slightly differently now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're right. It's bloody of its time, and it's all comedy. It's just weird how watching it now, my whole opinion of Clark Griswold is like, he's a raging lunatic. But again, very subtle, very it was all acceptable. I think when we watched it when I was younger, I was like, these fucking kids are ungrateful. I knew the cheating side of it, but also seeing how fit Chrissy Brinkley was, I was probably younger going, well, I can sort of understand that, Dave. But then there's someone who's an adult now, I'm like, actually, he's an absolute wanker, But I think
you're already punching with Ellen.
Exactly. 100%, because she's, like I say, Dave, I had a bit of an infatuation for her as a kid, and it was because of these movies, without a doubt. These were definitely a few of the movies that I probably had under my bed at certain points. I probably knew the exact minute for this one. It's only Basic Instincts I remember the 35 or 37 minute bit in fucking as a kid over and over. But yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because I think there's some really good bits in this as well. There is some silly bits, it's ridiculous. And I think what you said about Chevy Chase, I think there's a lot of lines that go on, like ad-libbing. There's certainly things he's throwing in there that are not in the scripts, because he's so quick and he's so quick at his delivery. There's stuff there that, some of it hits and some of it doesn't, but he's there's a lot of observational comedy. He'll notice things in a scene, won't he? And he'll say something that's going on or whatever. But yeah, I think at this point, like, Clark's gone on him, the whole family are back on board. But when they get to Wally World, I did like the fact when he gets to Wally World and he's like, Clark, why have you parked so far away? Now, this is something I do, Dave, because I'm thinking of the exit plan. When you're going out of somewhere like this where it's utter fucking chaos and you're like, you need to be as close to the fucking exit as possible. Like, go watch a football game and mistakenly parking in the fucking club parking space. Well, you're not leaving there for at least an hour before you even get on the road because it's so hammered. And then it's like, you see the way he does it, and he's like, yeah, great idea. Racia. And I love this bit at the fucking theme park. He can't get in, and he punches him. When he punches the moose, and it's just like, Clark, what are you doing? It's like, do you know what I mean? John Candy have only got $1 million for this appearance.
No, it's not bad, is it? For a little
it's
cameo.
not bad at all. But I do think this scene's pretty good, because the fact that he fucking holds him up and makes him go. I mean, I've got questions. Who's manning the fucking machines that they're going on, Dave? Because they just seem to be able to go on these. There's nobody. Someone must be controlling the roller coasters. However, it all plays up, but Clark's just gone, and there's a bit where Ellen says this about it. I think I think your dad may be going away for quite a while, kid. You know what I mean? She's gone. But
all this end bit was a reshoot done a few months after they'd wrapped up. So the original ending for the movie, they were trying to do. It was more similar to what happens at the end of the Christmas Vacation, where they basically kidnap the big boss and kind of bring him in. And in Christmas Vacation, Randy Quaid does it, or Cousin Eddie. And in this one, it was supposed to be Clark, but the test screen audiences just hated it, so they ended up redoing this whole end bit. And yeah, I guess the short notes of it, John Candy did quite well. Like you say, $1 million for a ride in some amusement park rides doesn't seem that bad. But when he parks miles away, that whole Wally World setting is all just a matte painting that they overlaid onto their screen. So I think that's just a practical thing that obviously they couldn't get too close because it'd look really fake. So I thought it was a nice bit of dialogue. But I did really like the Chariots of Fire bit, where they're all kind of sprinting and Clark's running away there. It's almost like your Rocky 3 moment, isn't it? And you can see that Rusty is he's getting away from Clark, and he's like, hang about, what's going on here? You can see it in his facial expressions, Chevy Chase. So, no, I think it was a really good moment. I feel like the roller coasters went on for a bit too long. I don't think I needed to see quite as much of that, because the gag was just playing out. He's got this little BB gun thing where he's gone off to the sports store to get. But yeah, and then it all wraps up. I don't suppose you noticed old Wally. It's the same guy who played the toy store owner in Home Alone. I just happened to be watching that one the other week, so
you know what?
made that
That's who
connection
it is.
there.
Yes, I was thinking that. Honestly, as you were talking, I'm thinking, what was that guy in where he was like, not gormless, but he was a bit naive to what was going on. That's it. Fucking hell, you've done me there, Dave. I genuinely was I was racking my brains. What was the movie he was in? And I think the police, again, the fucking SWAT team are there and everything, aren't they? And like, even the guy, the other guy who works on the park, he's like, look, he's totally demoralised me. He's made me lay on my back and he just fobs it off, doesn't he? Like, yeah, it's all right. Yeah, they come and see me. They get away with it. Clark gets away with probably a number of fucking felonies that in America he would definitely be going down on it. He's just basically gone across the fucking country and just caused mayhem. And I mean, 2,400 miles, Dave. We used to travel about 1,500 miles to Benidorm on a coach, and that was fucking awful. I did that numerous times as a kid because my old man won't go on a plane, and it was fucking awful. So I can't even imagine 2.5 hours, especially with just your family. Oh my God, it'd stink of fucking farts, fucking everything. It'd be horrible, wouldn't it? Like, it'd just be, it wouldn't be
especially
an enjoyable
on that sort of sofa-like interior they had.
yeah, that wouldn't be the best. So when you've got a brother like mine who used to like cup it in his hand and throw it in your face, I love that, Dave. Yeah, many a fight with our Adam over that wanker. Still does it now. I haven't seen him for a bit, but yeah, he does the knobhead. So we've had many a fucking battle over that. But yeah, it's a weird. It's an interesting ending. We all get the ending, basically, don't we? Clark gets to ride again, but I honestly, I'd really come across Clark, and I was so amazed. But I've read articles like these, loads of articles. Clark Griswold is a psycho. Clark Griswold is the ultimate baddie. And they're going through like these things. So I've gone down a different route. You're right, though. There is comedy elements to it that still stand up, definitely, and it is an iconic movie. But yeah, Clark is just what a complex character. And I think maybe the bias of the fact that I know Chevy Chase is a complete cock, that I just feel like he was just a nasty bastard on set, I think. But I did see that, the license plate bit where he throws the license plate.
Oh yeah.
He didn't know the woman was there. He nearly hit her, and he didn't. He didn't know she was behind him, and apparently he was genuinely concerned that with that scene. But yeah. I'm really pleased Kent picked this. I really am, because I think like it's 42 years old and there's loads of questions we've gone through, but I think ultimately like it's still, I know we haven't got to the scores, there's still a movie in there and an understanding of like the National Lampoon's franchise as well. I think probably this is probably the best of the lot, I think.
Controversial, but should we get into our final review?
Let's go. So a bit of a roller coaster for me, Dave. Definitely questionable. Clark Griswold is a lunatic, absolute lunatic. If you watch it now, definitely you'd be like, well, he's not a nice guy, is he? He's a cheat. He's throwing dead bodies on patios and stuff. He could be a soap character. But I do think there's loads of stuff that I'm familiar with. Like you said, I've watched it so many times, and like my crush on Beverly D'Angelo just didn't wane. Even now, Dave, watching it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this very well. So I think I'm going to put it in the middle. I was going to put it in Elm Street, but I'm not. I'm going to put it right in the middle. So it's going into Hill Valley. I think it's definitely watchable. If Sam said she wanted to watch it again, I would probably watch it with her. But I need to watch the European one now because I've not watched that for ages. And that, when I was younger, was always my favourite. But I know, like, now, I think this first one probably will. But yeah, it's still a Bella and Chevy Chase. I think that's what I'm being a little bit biased as I've been watching it. But as a movie, it's still up there. It's like a proper old school comedy classic.
So I came into this thinking this is probably going to go in the middle for me. I think there's going to be loads of things that are probably wrong. You know, it was okay in '83, but I'm going to watch it now and I'm going to see it's going to like make me feel a bit like, oh shit, we were all gaslit into thinking what a great movie, but there's going to be loads of things wrong with it. But I just, as soon as that music starts, I'm just like, oh fucking hell, I'm in. Now, we've obviously spoken a lot about Clark and the fact that he is this kind of narcissist, this frustrated dad who's saddled with his family and just has this singular vision about what he's wanting to do, and selfishly kind of drags everyone along with him. He's not this bumbling buffoon who just, you know, things go wrong for. So I think I've watched it quite differently now, but I just can't deny the love I still have for it. And I think there's a lot of bits that are quite funny. You say about the license plate there. I mean, you can see that when Clark walks off, he's starting to smile. You know, it's obvious that it was a bit of a mistake there. And so I just love all the kind of ad-lib bits where he's just obviously going off script and just making shit up and people are just trying to go along with him. And one of the other things, because of the reshoots, I don't know if you noticed, but Anthony Michael Hall fucking sprung up a few inches in between the end of the movie, where he's roughly the same kind of height as Beverly D'Angelo, but then when they're at Wally World, he's a few inches taller. So, and going into the research and looking into some of the fun facts behind the movie, it made me love it even more, to be honest. So, despite having that anchoring of, I'm going to put this in the middle, I'm going to send it to Pleasantville, I think there's no way, if I showed this to the kids, there's no way they'd like it anywhere near as much as I do. So in that respect, it doesn't hold up in the same way that other things like, you know, Back to the Future and other movies kind of hold up. But for me, watching this as a kid, even though it was an R-rated movie and I shouldn't have been watching it, but watching it as a kid so many times and then coming back and watching it now, yes, slightly differently than I had watched it before, but still absolutely love it. So yeah, absolute classic. And this created the comedy road trip for me. This is the template which loads of people have copied since.
I can't argue with that, Dave. I cannot argue. So massive thank you, Ken, as well, for picking this one. Really good stuff. So we've got another Patreon pick for next week, Dave. It's our good friend Helen. And she has picked a movie, Dave, going back to 2000. This one stars Reese Witherspoon, Jared Leto, Willem Dafoe, but more importantly, Mr. Christian Bale, Dave. So got a great first name. This one is American Psycho. So let's get into the trailer.
I think my mask of sanity is about to slip. If you stay,
got this on DVD, Dave. I got this when it first come out.
Sabrina, why don't you dance a little? Christy, get down on your knees.
It's the late 90s, early 2000s drum beat.
Yeah. Some iconic moment. This is what VFX is about. The bit when he's flexing. Fucking brilliant. Oh, that bit there. Unbelievable.
It's a very memeable film, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. Yeah. The one when he's doing the Huey Lewis thing with Jared Leto.
Yeah.
That is so meme. That's been memed so many times.
Very nice.
I don't want to get bruised. You're inhuman.
I know my behavior can be erratic. I need to engage in homicidal behavior on him.
I don't remember how the end, but that bit.
So what do?
I'm into murders and executions mostly. I have to kill a lot of people!
Fucking hell. I don't know how this is. I've not watched this for a long time, Dave. I remember loving it. Like I said, I've got it on DVD, but I've not watched it for ages. So I'll have to watch it on the original DVD, I think. It's 20 odd years older. Interesting, that one.
Looking forward to discussing that one.
No, 100%. Massive thank you as well, Helen, for picking that. I'm looking forward to that next week. I have to say, it's been years since I watched that. But if you do want to email us, the VHSstrikesback@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on social media, @VHSstrikesback. If you do get a chance, please, if you can, drop myself and Dave a review on the show. We do appreciate it. And it just helps us get up some of them charts. And if you want to support us a little bit more, please get over to patreon.com/the VHS Strikes Back. So the roll call of honour and a massive thank you to Gareth, Mike, Lee, Helen, Dylan, Dan, Justin, Susan, Timothy, Matt, Hales, Kent, Lucky Luda Green, Herbs, Jack, Math, Blake, John Hammond, and Mr. Tony Farina. So thank you so much, guys. Amazing support for myself and Dave. Love it. Love it, Dave. And yeah, we're going to go on another road trip. But before we go on a road trip, Dave, what song have you got us to take us out with today?
Well, like I say, the old Fleetwood Mac's Lindsey Buckingham has done the most iconic sound of probably of any movie. I mean, how many other songs can you just hear and then think of a specific movie? I'm sure there are a few, the Rocky franchise for a start, but, you know, I thought, you know what, I cannot get anywhere near that. So I went down a different route. Now, when they start out, when they set off from Chicago, they're doing the bit of the Mockingbird singing in the car, but then they go into the old person's, you know, the parents' thing of Jimmy Crack Corn, and the kids put their music on, which is the Ramones Blitzkrieg Pop. And so I thought, Tony, we obviously did that Rock and Roll High School, didn't we, as well? So I thought, let's go down that kind of Ramones type avenue. So here we go. Another one, whatever you've been doing, Chris.
Road trip, clock's gone insane. Wrap the fam in the truster again. My tires, bad naps, detours galore. The head next stop, I should drive some more. Clock's the plan. The moose is our man. But we're always running late. Wally World, clock won't stop till we get to Wally World. Wally World, clock takes the fam to Wally World. Audrey's mad, and then swishing, she can strangle her dad. Sorry folks, Bob's close today. Clock's losing and he's going crazy. Moose out of luck. Slowly moving on truck. Clock's lost his mind, but the Griswolds are one of a kind. His family took declining rows. Blues are brought to Dalton, so the clock ain't leaving, he's ready to go. John Kenny's hostage, it's all surreal. Blow ride that roller coaster thrill. Wally World, Wally World. Talk won't stop till we get to Wally World. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wreckage and taco, Griswold rubber. We're at the door.
Very good, Dave. Very good.
So, Tony always tells me the Ramones 3 minutes, and that's it. You're done with the song. So I thought I did have Tony in my ear when I was putting this one together.
No, but every time I hear the what's it called, the Ramones song that he said, I always think of Tony straight away. I know he loves that band. But no, honestly, Dave, I've enjoyed it today. I really have. Totally different take I came into. I think as we were talking, there's still good bits in National Lampoon. So yeah, it's definitely worth a watch for people if you've not seen it for a while.
Yeah, and I must admit, I really enjoyed the chat as well, and I thought you might absolutely slate this a lot more than you have done.
Yeah, no,
just with a lot of the things that are wrong with it, and especially Clark's character. That's the biggest surprise for me. If you've not watched it for ages and you've got this false memory like we have, where he's just this cuddly, friendly dad who's just a bit, just gets things a bit wrong. But no, so I'm glad, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who are glad that you haven't slated it quite so much as well.
All disappointed.
But thank you very much, sir. Thanks to all our listeners out there. Thanks to all our supporters, and we'll speak to you next time.
Bye.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
I'll be back.
That's odd. We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Wax on, wax off.
Get to the chopper!
One ring to go.
All right.
Ding, ding. Bust you up. Go for it.
Well, here we go. Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Come on, ain't so bad. Come on. You must be crazy or something. I'm crazy. You just a stupid fool. Yeah, maybe you crazy. I ain't breathing heavy. He's a fool. He's stupid. I've seen you in 6 months.